All righty, everybody. Hello and welcome to the virtual South Elementary Curriculum Night. I'm hoping that you're able to watch this in the comfort of your own home, but you might be on the road, might be moving around a little bit, watching on your phone, however that happens to be. Please join in with us on the YouTube chat. Mrs. Lee has already been jumping on there. A lot of people jumping in and saying some stuff, which is great. You should also have your South Curriculum Night Play at Home Guide. Hopefully you had a chance to look that over. We will have some questions on some of the information that is inside of there, and also have a follow-in at home activity as well. So I guess with that being said, we're going to go ahead and just get it kicked off right now. Like I said, I am your host, Mr. Meyer. We have a lot of special guests that are going to be jumping on and joining us here shortly. We're going to talk about all things at South involving curriculum and all the programs that we do. And truly, I feel like this is probably the best way of delivering this much information and being able to keep your kids comfortable and keep yourself comfortable. Maybe you're cooking dinner. Maybe you're having dinner right now. Maybe this is up on the big TV in your living room, wherever you happen to be watching. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you. So let's just go ahead and get started. First thing I want to talk to you about is kind of more of our behavior stuff that we work on here at school. South Elementary is a PBIS school. We do a lot of things that are just proactive and positive and trying to reinforce and teach students' behaviors, how to interact with their peers, how to interact with adults, all of that great stuff. It works hand in hand with the curriculum that's being taught by Mrs. Watchhorn in guidance class as well. One of the big parts of PBIS is incentives. And what we use here at South is a Raider Badge incentive. And so Raider Badges are all over the place. Kids can earn them for anything that they do. They can earn them for academics. They can earn them for just being a good person. Anything that you do at South can earn yourself a Raider Badge. And that even includes coming here tonight and joining us on our curriculum night. And so a special thing for every family, every student who joins in tonight, you have an opportunity to earn yourself a mythic Raider Badge. And so before I talk more about Raider Badges, I want to show you what it looks like here. So let me pop it up. It looks just like that. Curriculum night, a little rock star, some fireworks in the background. It's a pretty awesome design, if I do say so myself. And so these Raider Badges are awesome. They're just little buttons. The kids can earn them for anything. They come down to my office, they get those. They keep track of it all in their classrooms. And so a teacher might say, hey, thank you for being a good friend. Go put a tally up. They go put a tally on their little tally sheet. Once they get to 5, they can earn a badge. They come down to my office, they earn that badge. And then they're not done. They can earn that badge again and again and again and again. And what we'll do is we just give them an extra level. So if they earn a good friend badge, and then they earn it again, they get a good friend badge with a level 2 on it. So really, truly, this is based off of kind of the gamification stuff. So if your children play video games, there's achievements in every video game that you play. You do something in a game, and it notifies you, hey, great job, you earned some little gamer points or whatever it happens to be. Raider Badges works exactly the same way. You can earn them over and over again. You can get level up with them if you want to. You can get a big variety of them. All sorts of great things. And new this year, we're keeping track of our Raider Badges digitally. And so you can see at home, anytime you want to, our leaderboard. You can see how many badges have been earned altogether. You can see what are the top badges that are being earned. And so if you would like to check that out, if you go to SydneyRaiders.org, and then if you go to Schools and South, go to South's website, there will be a tab that says Raider Badges. And when you click on that, you can get all sorts of information about Raider Badges. I have a video that explains in very great detail and kind of shows you all of the Raider Badges that we have here at South. I also have a little slideshow that I shared with the students that shows you all the different badges. And then also on there is that digital leaderboard. So you can see who is on the top of the leaderboard. You can see how many badges we have left to our very first big celebration, which is going to be at 1,000 Raider Badges. And last I checked today, we were at 670. So that's going to be just right around the corner. Our first Raider Badge celebration is going to be Waving Wacky Arm Guy Day. Day. So when we get to 1,000 Raider badges, we're going to have a waving wacky arm guy. We saw him the very first day of school. I have another waving wacky arm guy, specially custom made for South Elementary. And then I have a third wavy wacky arm guy that happens to be right here and will be in a nice big inflatable costume. So you'll see 3 giant waving wacky arm guys out there greeting kids once we get to that 1,000 Raider badges. So something to celebrate. The biggest thing about Raider badges, and the thing that I probably love the most, is that the kids are getting specific positive praise for the things that they're doing. And I just want to share a very quick story here before we start moving on to our next little segment. I had a student that came up to me and they said, Mr. Meyer, I'm 1 tally away from getting my good friend badge. And I was like, that's awesome. That's great. And she says, you know how I got the 4th one? I got it because I helped my friend right next to me and my teacher saw it and she said I did a good job. And I thought that was amazing because this didn't just happen. It happened earlier that day. But she remembered that. She remembered what it is that she did to get that good friend badge that stuck with her. So she knows helping friends is a good thing. And so it kind of keeps that going for them, which is just amazing. So that's kind of the purpose behind those good friend badges. And behind all of our Raider badges is just acknowledging your hard work, acknowledging that you're a good citizen and a good person and you're helpful. Those are all the qualities that we want to instill here at Sydney Public Schools, and we think our kids should be acknowledged and also earn things for it. So that's kind of our Raider Badges program in a nutshell. Like I said, if you go onto our website and check that out, I have a way more detailed video that kind of goes into in-depth about why it is that we use that, how it's used here at school, kind of all that good fun stuff. So it's all about positive. It's all about positive. It's all about being proactive, staying ahead of it instead of reactive. That's kind of what we do here at South. So that's kind of the big part of Raider Badges and our PBIS here at school. And so I think we're about ready to give away our very first prize. And so here's how we're going to do this. To earn a prize, you're going to be on YouTube and you're going to be chatting, okay? So you have to put your answers in on the chat. Mrs. Lee is going to be watching those. She's going to be going over those over and over again. And the first person that's going to answer correctly is going to be our winner. So I'm going to stall and keep talking here a little bit so that you can kind of get yourself set up to be able to quickly type into that chat if you are. And so that way you can hopefully win a prize for us. So I've got several prizes to give away today. And we're going to do one about every segment that we have here. So every little guest that we have, we'll give away a prize as we go on. So our first prize that we're going to do, since it's pretty close to dinner time, we might as well have a game that kind of has something to do with food. So we're going to be doing Taco versus Burrito, the card game. This game looks also so very awesome, and it makes you hungry, which is really, really cool. There's 1 game, 5 ways to play. This is pretty cool stuff. So it takes about 15 minutes to play a game, 2 to 4 players, ages 7 and up. This is pretty fun. So Taco versus Burrito is our very first giveaway that we're going to do. And here's what it is. I have a question for you. This is a pretty simple one. I just happened to mention our website, so I wonder if there's a hint on that. Could be. But our question is I want you to tell me the year that South Elementary was built. Okay? That would be a 4-digit answer. It wasn't built back prior to year 1000. It seems about that old sometimes, but it wasn't. It's not a little newer than that. So make your guess for me for when you think South Elementary was built, okay? And that's for the Taco versus Burrito game right here. So go ahead and put that in the YouTube chats. And as soon as we get a winner, actually our next game, hopefully we'll have a winner by then, and I'll announce who it is. So first game is down, just like that, and we are moving on in the program today. So let's change up some backgrounds here. So we did our No Place Like South background. I'm a big video gamer. We talked about gamification, right? So let's put in a little Mario background, a little Super Mario, old school stuff. We've got a green pipe here, and we're going to welcome our next guest, actually our first guest. We didn't have a guest. This is our first guest. This is Mrs. Sherry Ayler. She is the District Assessment and Curriculum Director. Thank you, Mrs. Ayler, for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me. I sure enjoyed hearing about all the positive supports at South Elementary. It's a fun place to be.
Well, I could probably talk for the whole hour and a half on it, but we'll keep moving. We'll keep moving.
That's
how it is. Yeah. So Mrs. Ayler's on here. She's going to talk to us a little bit about MAP testing. So MAP testing is a big thing. You just had MAP reports sent home yesterday or today, possibly, depends when they got sent out. And there's kind of a lot of pages there to them and a lot of information to dissect. And so we're going to kind of talk about what some of that information means and then also kind of what it looks like for kids when they do MAP testing here at South. So first thing, Mrs. Ayler, can you tell us what is a MAP test or what is MAP tests?
Well, first off, all of our kids take the MAP test, and that stands for Measures of Academic Performance, and they take those on a computer. So they're a computerized test, and the really cool thing about MAP tests is they're adaptive. So they're special and unique for every student who is taking that test. And the way that MAP has figured out how to do that is they start with the initial question that the student takes, and depending on how they do on that, the questions will become increasingly more difficult, or they'll stay at a level where a student gets acclimated and understands information before it moves on and gets more complicated. So again, it adapts to the student's needs, and it's very unique in that it's the only assessment that does that.
Excellent. So yeah, you can definitely tell when the kids take their tests. Some of them get into some very hard stuff because they know it. And so it keeps pushing them. And so we have some second graders getting into some multiplication questions, and it's kind of fun to see them kind of attack and challenge that and try to answer and use the strategies that they've learned, even though we haven't done multiplication necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what's exciting about it too, is the kids gain confidence in that, especially after or when their teachers talk with them about getting difficult questions, that it's because they needed that. That was the challenge that they needed, and the assessment helps us to know where students are at and where they're learning so that we can adjust our instruction to help them to continue to grow.
Yeah, excellent. And so MAP is not just a Sydney Public Schools test. This is a nationally normed test. So can you kind of explain what does that mean for it to be nationally normed?
That is correct. It is a nationally normed test, and so literally thousands of students take the MAP test across our nation every year, and especially at those testing windows, which is fall, winter, and spring for us. There is a summer window as well for schools that would have school in session during the summer. But nationally normed means that the questions are developed and are centered around specific grade level standards and the priorities taught at those grade levels. And then the assessment or the test is given to thousands of kids in order to get the norms. And so a nationally normed test is always based off of the 50th percentile being average, the average score. And so we are always looking to have our kids perform on that assessment above average, because what that helps us do is to make sure that our local curriculum is also competitive with or meets the standards of curriculums and learning experiences across the nation. We want our kids to be equally, if not better, prepared than students their same age or their same grade across the nation.
Yeah. So when you look at those percentiles on your MAP reports, you'll see that that's not just for where your student is at with our students at Sydney Public Schools, but across the nation. So all second graders or all first graders. And it kind of shows kind of where you fall in there. And MAP has been around for a long time, and it has lots and lots of data. So it's a pretty accurate picture of kind of where those kids are at. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And then nationally normed tests, they after a certain amount of time, they'll re-norm as well. So when we're first using it, or when we first started using it here at South, it was normed on the 2015 norms, and now it's already been re-normed for the 2020.
Yeah.
So we're currently using the most up-to-date norms, and so it is very accurate and has, again, thousands of pieces of data in order to come up with those percentiles.
Yeah.
And so it becomes even more accurate with time.
Certainly. And we're kind of in a unique situation at South because we actually have our first graders and second graders taking a different MAP test. And so our first graders are taking what's called the K2 growth test. And the biggest difference between that K2 and then what our second graders take, the 2-5, is that the K2 is read to them. Everything is read to them. The reading passages are, the questions are, the answers are. They have that kind of read to them so that we can really kind of gauge where they're at if they're an emerging reader. Whereas that 2-5 test, the students have to read all of that on their own unless they have some accommodations that are set in place. And so that truly is kind of our gauge for, are the students a good enough or a fluent enough reader that they can accurately show their comprehension skills. And so we're in kind of that unique situation. So when a first grader goes into second grade, you might see a dip in those scores, but that test has gotten considerably harder than what it was. And so that's something that is expected. So
absolutely
not something to be worried about at all. Definitely something to look at, but that's the difference between what would be an emerging reading test and then what we would look for more of a fluent reader test.
Yeah, and it's based off of two different types of comprehension. That auditory comprehension, or being able to understand and relate concepts from things that we hear, and then the reading comprehension.
Right.
Having to read first is a harder, much more rigorous skill.
Yeah. And one of the big things that we do here at Sydney Public Schools, we don't have kids take tests just to take tests. Yep. We use that data. So can you tell us a couple ways that we use that data here at Sydney Public Schools?
Well, the thing that's, I guess, again, that we really focus on is that every child is unique. And so, of course, their MAP assessment information is unique. And what we like to do with that, first and foremost, is to make sure that we're matching what we're teaching kids with what will help them grow. And we like to also, of course, bring the kids in on that and do a lot of goal setting with kids and talk to them about things that they're learning, not as it relates to getting a better test score, but learning things that's on grade level that all second graders should learn, for example. And in doing so, and working hard on that information on the data in the day-to-day learning in their curriculum, then that's how they'll meet their goals that they've set for the next time that they take their MAP assessment.
Yeah, I have one more little follow-up question on that, and especially talking about when we set goals for students, a lot of that's based off of growth. And so what does that growth mean, or what does that show for a student?
The other thing that is just really awesome about using MAP and the information from MAP is that it helps us also, it's based on growth. And so it gives us a very good indication. It's called projected growth, a very good indication of how much each kid can learn and grow each year based on if they're on grade level curriculum, which they are. So they're learning in their on grade level programs and learning activities. And then the goal setting specifically helps kids to know if they're growing a year's growth over a year's time. So that's what the growth is based off of, is again that adaptive score based on that individual kid and what should be expected or projected growth for that individual student.
Excellent. That's very good. So we use and teachers use the MAP data so much. And, like you had alluded to earlier, we take the MAP test 3 times. And so we've just taken it for the first time in the fall. We'll take it again in January-ish for the winter. And then at the end of the year, probably about end of April is when we take that final spring score. And so when we take that winter test, that's so important because we can get an idea if that student is on track to meet their goal or if we have some adjustments that need to take place. So we don't just let it all hang on that last test. So we don't want that to be so high stakes for that student. We kind of know where they're at and kind of get an idea and know if that student really took off, that we can go and push them even further, or if that student needs some extra supports, that we can give that to them, before it's all said and done, I guess.
And I think in the same sense, having an assessment right away, which isn't really a test of how they're doing, but it gives us the information so that we're not waiting till the end of a school year to look at the information on what we can do to help a student learn even more and meet them, help them meet their potential. So we're not waiting till the end either, which is kind of an old way of doing things that the MAP assessment just helps us be more proactive.
And how long can parents expect to see MAP scores? How long do we do that in Sydney Public Schools?
We actually do that clear through the 10th grade. Our state assessment system, which is our 3rd through 8th graders, that system is based on MAP growth as well. And so they'll continue to see the RITs and the percentile scores coming, clear through the 10th grade, exclusively in reading and math. And in some cases, we give us science as well.
Yeah, there you go. So you'll be seeing plenty of MAP score reports, and kids will be taking them quite a few more times.
Yeah.
So, all right, excellent. Well, thank you, Mrs. Ayler, for joining us.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
That was great. Good information about our MAP test. Thank you very much. All right, very good. So we're ready to move on to another prize giveaway. I believe we even have a winner for game number 1. Game number 1. Courtney Allington was our winner. Breyer, your family's getting taco versus burrito tomorrow. That's pretty cool. All right, good job. Guess the correct answer of when South was built in 1953. 1953 is when they were looking for on that one. That's awesome. All right, very good. Let's give away another prize. And so for this prize, you're going to have to use the old Play at Home guide. Okay, so you're going to have to get this one out. We had a little Dungeons and Dragons theme for all of our teachers. So I sent out a Google form to them, and I was super, super tricky about it. I didn't give them any clues, and so this is a little bit of surprise to them as well. We have this little character sheets here, and there's information on all of the teachers. Some of the information they provided, some of the information was provided by their coworkers, which is kind of fun. So they'll get a chance to kind of see what other people are talking about them, sharing some great traits for them. So you'll notice up at the top, we have your character name and who that person is. We have a class that teacher has picked, the background that they picked, the race that they picked. We have personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws. There's attacks. They picked their experience points and their current hit points. I just asked them to pick random numbers, so that's why they're so far off. They picked their favorite teaching tool, and so we have some kind of fun named tools that they use at teaching. They ranked themselves in all these different categories, and so that gave them some different points and then some bonuses. So if you're a Dungeons and Dragons player, you probably understand all of this. If you're not, well, it's just some fun reading, okay? So what we're going to do is looking through all of these character sheets, okay? One thing that every single one of them had on there was the race. Now, if they weren't super, super lame and picked human race, because why would you pick human race? Like, you can pick Dragonborn, and I have teachers picking human? I mean, my goodness, that's where you could tell all of our just lame-o teachers not picking the fun stuff. So all those humans, that's what they are. They're the fuddy-duddies. What I want you to find out is what race was picked the most, okay? So what race was picked the most? And a hint is it's not humans. We have way more exciting people than that. Oh, and I forgot to tell you what prize we're playing for today. You're not even paying attention because you're scrambling through papers right now. We are going to be playing for Camping with Sasquatch. The card game with a roar. How about that? This is pretty cool. Looks like a little camping, like a matchbox thing. And see, I mean, this is pretty, the detail on this is fantastic. I love the packaging on this. It looks like a box of matches, like you would take camping or something. Camping with Sasquatch, if you can guess the race that most teachers picked, if you can guess it first, type it in there. Spelling counts, please, on that. Spelling counts on that. That's what I'm going to say, so don't type so fast. You don't just spell check a little bit if you want. So that's our game number 2. Game number 2, if you can pick and guess. All right, very good. We are cooking right along here, actually ahead of schedule, which is really cool, which means I can talk about way more wacky things. And I'm going to put Miss S on the spot because, not Miss S, Miss Schneider. Sorry, Mrs. Schneider's our next guest. Here comes Jennifer Schneider.
Well, hello, Mr. Meyer.
Hey. This is our instructional coach. She's instructional coach at South and also up at North as well, too. So, Mrs. Schneider, we are here. We're going to be talking about Acadians.
Oh.
Acadians, yes.
Very nice.
Very good. So hopefully you prepared for that?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Roll.
All right, very
Always
good.
Ready.
All right, so talking about Acadians. First of all, what is Acadians?
Well, Acadians is just a screener we use to just see where students are at within the developmental stages of reading.
Perfect.
Yes, and there are different subtests at each grade level, and they change throughout the year as students progress through the different stages.
Okay. So then what would be the difference, the biggest difference between like a MAP test and then your Acadians test?
Well,
Or screener, I should say.
Okay. The Acadians screener, it's just focused, it's very specific in its focus, and it's like phonemic awareness, which is students' ability to like hear sounds and assign sounds to letters, and also phonics skills. Can students read words? So basically, Acadians just assesses whether or not students can read words or in line to be able to do that.
So it kind of really breaks it down into those isolated skills, right?
Yes.
It's very good. And also, it's not taken on the computer.
No,
This
this is all oral.
Yep, all completely oral. So we would have a proctor that would be sitting with that student. It's timed. Every probe takes 1 minute.
1 minute.
So it's a 1 minute timed test. And then we just kind of go through, score it, and then those are your scores that you get.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
very good. So let's talk a little bit about progress monitoring.
Okay.
So how do we identify kids to progress monitor?
Progress monitoring is based off of how students perform on the benchmark test. So we take we have the benchmark assessments during the fall, winter, and spring. And if students score at a level below the benchmark, that's when we progress monitor the students to assure that they're making adequate growth.
Perfect. And then how often does that progress monitoring happen?
It's weekly.
Gotcha.
Weekly, we test the students to make sure that they're growing at a rate that will get them on track.
And a progress monitor is not like the full test.
Nope. It's just specific to the stage that they're in,
Gotcha.
in the reading development, and just building up to the next stage.
Yeah, so kind of a quick check.
Yep.
Just to make sure that student is progressing the way we want them to.
Exactly.
Mhm. And then when they don't, if let's say a student is maybe have fallen off or plateaued into a certain spot, what's our next step?
Then we kind of problem solve and see what the student's specific needs might be, and provide intervention and extra supports to help them get on track to
Excellent.
make
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah, definitely make sure that no one's fallen down
Yes,
and we
we
give
do
them the
not want
supports
that.
that we want
Yes,
to.
exactly.
So talking about interventions, who might work with the student and get those interventions in place?
It's a combination. The teachers work with students at times, and a lot of times our paras will work with students for intervention.
About how long does an intervention last?
Interventions are usually between 5 to 15 minutes, depending on what they're working on, the skill.
Gotcha. Just kind of a little quick
Yeah,
practice.
quick practice and get them back into the room for
Sure.
core instruction.
And it's truly kind of individually driven. So
It
might
is.
be some students might get seen every day.
Yep.
Some of my students might get 2 to 3 times a week.
Yes.
It just kind of depends on
Yep.
where kind of they're at. If they need the extra boost big time, then we give them more help. If they just need a little extra, we give them a little extra.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Very
Tailored
good.
to their needs.
Very good. So let's talk about our reading bill. So we've had a reading
Okay.
bill in place for quite a while now, and so all parents get a read plan letter. Kind of explains what it is that we do with that. So can you just give us just a very quick, brief thing about kind of what that read bill means for us?
Yeah. The read bill, it's just we identify students that are on track and students that are below, so that you know that we are tracking their progress to ensure that they are making growth towards grade level expectation. So in first grade, we use the Acadians test to screen for the read plan. So because it's really specific at that grade, that they're just learning to read words. So we use the Acadians test for that. And if they fall below or score below the benchmark, then that's when we put those supports in place and monitor their progress to ensure that we get them to the level that they need.
Perfect. And then second grade, what do we use for second grade?
Second grade, we use the MAP testing. So as Sherry spoke earlier, it kind of transitions from oral comprehension, reading comprehension, in first grade into like reading comprehension in second grade. And it's a natural transition, like second graders, we still progress or monitor their progress in Acadians, but they're transitioning more towards reading independently, and we're now like looking at their reading comprehension as they're reading independently.
And when we kind of looked at that, we thought it was a little bit more appropriate for those emerging readers to have that read plan based off of Acadians.
Yes.
because it does really break down those sub-skills for those kids. And where MAPS is more of a listening comprehension, that doesn't give us a good idea of whether or not that student is on track for reading.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when we switch over into second grade, where the students do have to read the MAP test, it does give us a very appropriate way for them to figure out, is the student on track or does the student need extra help? So
Exactly.
kind of a great way of kind of figuring out, and we've kind of found a good balance between the two.
Yeah.
for
And
sure.
both provide us with valuable instructional data, but just the focus becomes a little different as they progress through the stages.
Absolutely. Yep, for sure. So I think that's about the biggest thing there. Maybe one more thing we want to talk about is just the teachers and how do the teachers use that data? How often do they look at that data? What do they do with it?
The Acadians data.
Yeah, like progress monitoring.
As we progress monitor weekly, they see those scores and they're able to adapt instruction and see, identify students that need extra help or areas where they can adapt their instruction to meet the needs of a larger population.
Sure. That's definitely one way that education has changed a little bit, is the fact that we collect so much data on students and that we don't wait for a student to fall down for very far before we do some interventions or do something for that student.
Yeah.
And so we really try to interject that help as soon as we possibly can. And one of the ways we do that is by just actually watching and being very active in that student's information.
Continuously just monitoring the data.
Absolutely. And then those tests are so appropriate for those kids to really judge where that student is at, what they need, if they're making progress or if they're not, that, gosh, we have really good information in front of us right there, ready to use. So that's excellent. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Schneider. That's perfect. Okay, we have one more little activity. This is going to be kind of a fun, this is not for a prize, but this is going to be fun anyways. I think the kids are going to probably enjoy this more than the parents probably will. So in your packet here, in your Play at Home guide, after the table of contents here, the order of events, there is this little page right here, okay? This one is the Acadians Oral Reading Fluency. It's like a little reading probe, but it's a 5th grade reading probe because this one's going to be read by you guys, you parents out there, not the kids, the parents. So parents, you got to kind of understand how this feels like for a kiddo to have to read for a sustained minute and see how far and fast you can go. So this is kind of a great way to kind of get an idea of what is it your kids do here at school? How do they get assessed? And so I want you to take a look. Don't pre-read this. I see some cheaters out there. Don't be pre-reading. This is supposed to be a cold read. You're supposed to walk up to this thing and just start reading right away. So don't be peeking at it already right now. So kids, make sure they're not doing that. Make sure they're not cheating right now. The one thing I've forgotten, because I'm using my phone as the camera, is a timer. So I'm going to ask one of my people in the back there to set up a little stopwatch for me and then slightly pass it through nonchalantly through the camera here. There we go. It's kind of working its way up here. Thank you very much. Perfect. Very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to go for, I'm only going to make you go for 30 seconds, okay? Just 30 seconds. 30 seconds, you're going to get as far as you can. You're going to see weird numbers on the sides. Just what I want you to do is just stop at 30 seconds and then just kind of put your finger right in that spot, okay? So when I say go, okay, kids pay attention. Make sure you're watching these parents. Make sure that they're not cheating. When I say go, you're going to read as fast as you can, okay? If you come to a word that you don't know, well, it could help you. That's what normally our test takers would do, but kids, you're just going to have to help them out. So if they come to a word they don't know, they're just going to have to help them out or skip it, okay? So we have 30 seconds, and I've just messed up already because I have let the phone go to sleep. Thank you, Apple, for making your phones fall asleep so fast and then using a specific phone. Okay, there we go. So now we're ready. 30 seconds. On your marks. Get set. Go. 30 seconds. Starting now. All right, pay attention, kids. Make sure that they're reading. They should be reading fast. I'm distracting them, I know, but that's okay. Keep them reading. Keep them reading. That's 10 seconds. You got 20 more to go. Keep going. Keep going. Reading, reading, reading. Ride the ice. That's the name of the reading probe. Ride the ice. You're at 20 seconds. You have 10 more seconds. Come on, parents. Keep it up. You can do this. You can do this. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep going. All right, and stop. Stop right there. Put your finger right where you ended up at. Okay, so I want to tell you a little bit about those numbers on the side. Those numbers on the sides are words, okay? Yeah, just words, not words, but they're just regular old words. And what they'll do is they tell you how fast you've read. So if you stopped, for instance, at the end of like the seventh row or whatever that happens to be, that last number there to the right, that's how many words you read. Okay, and we did this for 30 seconds, so which is half of a minute. And so you're going to take that number, you're going to times it by 2, and that would be your oral reading fluency score. Minus your errors if you had any errors. So make sure that they minus some errors, that sort of stuff. Okay. So kids, hopefully you paid attention to that stuff. You've made sure that they didn't cheat, right? And that's how fast your parents can read a 5th grade reading passage. It's a pretty exciting thing there. So if you want to read the rest of that, because it does just kind of cut off at the end there, you just let me know and I'll send the rest of that probe or story to you. So that was kind of what your kids go through. So if you're a Progress Monitor student, you have that happen every single week. You have some sort of a 1-minute quick test just to kind of see where you're at. And speed is the name of the game here. We're really trying to test your speed. How quickly can you go? How fluent can you go? That's kind of the word we use here at school is fluency, right? So we want to push that up there. So with that, we are ready for another prize giveaway. I have found out we do have a winner for game number 2. Game number 2 was won by Taylor Hagemeyer. Palmer Hagemeyer, you're winning Camping with Sasquatch, the card game with a roar. I'm just really loving the packaging on this thing. It's just amazing. It won an award in 2019. You're going to have a lot of fun with that one. Yes, the correct answer was gnome. We have more gnomes than we have anything else as far as the race that was picked for teachers. Dragonborn. I really kind of thought, like, how would you not pick Dragonborn? Dragonborn, I mean, that's like the coolest thing. Dragonborn, my goodness. What else? The elf was pretty popular. That was kind of a fun one. Yeah, that was really cool. I think the really kind of the cool stuff was like the backgrounds on some people, like what they picked in the class. I thought that was amazing. It was pretty cool. Kind of a fun little thing. I never actually played Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid. I like pretended to because I knew it was a thing, but I was always too young, and I had my sister with older kids, and they would kind of play it, and then I just kind of left out. But anyways, I'm kind of joining in, and I'm also kind of just rambling now. So we're ready to move on. I'm going to give you kind of a second to kind of get your whatever back, and I'm also going to take a drink of something invisible. Check this out. I'm using chroma key, so you cannot tell what drink I'm drinking here unless I do that. Look at that. There you go. It's Mountain Dew. Sorry, get a little quick drink here. They don't usually do that on normal television shows, but I'm going to today. Alrighty, third prize giveaway. This one's going to be a tough one. I just talked about Dungeons & Dragons. I just talked about how I really never played this game. Maybe somebody at home has played this game, and if you have, you're going to get a boost up on this game. If not, you're going to have to see what your Google skills are going to be like. So the game that you're going to be doing here, it's got a little chroma key issue on it too. It's almost a little see-through-ish, is the Upside Down Challenge game. This is such a fun game. So you have these really cool glasses. You wear these glasses, and then everything is upside down. And then you have to complete these challenges of like drawing things, writing things. It's just really kind of fun. So the Upside Down Challenge game is what you're playing for right now. And to win the Upside Down Challenge game, we're going to take a look on our little player card sheets. And I just happen to pull up Miss Carlson's here. So if you take a look here very, very closely, here up in the corner here where it says equipment, okay? There's like a little number next to all those little things, right? And there's like 2 letters next to it. The top one's a CP, then there's the one below that says SP, and the one below that says EP, and the one below that says GP, and the one below that says P, and another P. I want you to tell me what that GP stands for. What does that actually mean? So those people that have like a number on it, if you look here, Mrs. Heller, she has 20 GP. What does GP mean? Yeah, I'm looking for some Dungeons & Dragons players, or at least some quick Googlers. All right, so that's game number 3. The winner of that will be the Upside Down Challenge winner. There's the game. It's up right now. So you're Googling, you're checking it out. And here we go. We're setting pretty good on time here. I'm liking this. All righty. Next up, we have Miss Schluckabeer. Come on and join us in here, Miss Schluckabeer. I'm going to refer to you from now on as Miss S because I'm already having hard enough time with words.
Perfect.
So we're going to keep doing that instead. Miss S is our title reading teacher. So you kind of pull a group that needs some extra supports.
Sure.
Needs some extra helps. Give extra help. Not helps, but help,
Yeah.
right? Me, I'm also in that group sometimes. You do some interventions with students, helping them out. You also help monitor data, kind of helping oversee the intervention programs, and you also help work on like some of our title stuff that we have. So this is a great time to kind of interject and add in, just like I did at our very first video that I shared out,
Sure.
that being a title school means that we get federal money. And anytime federal money is given out, there's lots of hoops to jump through. And so Miss S helps us with some of those things, some of the reporting, some of the stuff that we have to do. So specifically tonight, we are going to be talking about Sande Phonics, because that is our program that we use to teach kids to read.
Right.
So can you tell us just a kind of a quick thing other than what I just said?
Sure.
What is Sande Phonics?
So the neat thing about Sande Phonics, Mr. Meyer, is it's a multi-sensory program. So the children are saying the words, they're touching them. We do something called tracing, where they, it just helps them solidify the word. Multi-sensory, so it really helps identify the students who could benefit from early reading intervention. We isolate sounds, we blend sounds, we learn those prerequisite skills. So, it develops nice, healthy readers.
Excellent. Very good. And you say that like multi-sensory stuff, that's really kind of cool. So the kids do a lot of stuff with like their hands. They do a lot of stuff with just not just listening, but doing things.
Right.
So like what kinds of things would they do with their hands that would make it such multi-sensory?
So another thing they do besides the tracing, like I said, we touch spell. So if the word was dog and we're sounding that out, we'll say og, and then maybe one kid said dig instead, so I'll say, oh, hold this middle sound, this sound is ah, what letter says ah, and then they go, oh, that's an O, not an I. It really helps attack it from multiple areas, and then it clicks.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's one of those programs that we build kids up and so that they can be
Sure.
successful. And so a lot of practice, a lot of repetition, and it just builds and builds on itself as it goes through. So Sande Phonics really attacks what we call the foundational skills. And so what are foundational skills?
Well, we start we start with just identifying the letters and the sounds that they make, especially when paired together, like we work on blends, and then being able to manipulate those letters to form the words. And then once they're able to read the words, they can, read them out in normal text instead of just isolated words, and then they become real confident readers.
Mm-hmm. Excellent, yeah. So when we talk about like it's basically beginning reading skills or beginning reading skills, is we talk about foundational skills. That's kind of interchangeable for us.
Right.
So those are kind of those base things that you need. That letter naming, the letter sounds, it all kind of starts. And so Sande Phonics is a program that is taught. It starts in kindergarten and it goes all the way up and through fourth grade.
Right.
And so it's a program that's meant to get our kids successful right away, and then kind of being able to get them to be fluent readers earlier. So how does that help their fluency when we're doing our Sande Phonics lessons?
Sure. So, like in second grade, for example, children learn short A and short I early on, and that helps them learn and be able to read CVC words like cat, consonant, vowel, consonant, mat, pig, zip. And then we learn some harder things like the long vowel sounds, vowel teams, blends. They're always building on and improving skills they've already learned, though, so it all spirals real neat.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Yeah, very good. So we use Sande Phonics to kind of identify kids that need interventions.
Sure.
So can you tell us how do we use that program to identify our students and implement those interventions?
So it's really neat. Every 5 lessons, we give a mastery check. It's essentially like a spelling test. It's called a mastery check because we check how, what they have mastered, what they still need help with. And then I use those mastery checks, the other teachers use those mastery checks to determine which sounds and skills each student really needs extra help on. And then we can make little small groups or one-on-one intervention to address those sounds and then, make sure they're where they need to be.
Gotcha. Perfect. Yeah. And so truly, any student can get an intervention if they need it.
Sure.
So if we struggle with on any kind of skill, then we can give them a little boost in that skill.
Absolutely.
Which is nice. And so it doesn't have to be just students who are identified as struggling or emerging readers.
Right.
It could be anybody. And so any student can have at any point in time a struggle with a skill or a phonic sound or whatever.
Get the help they need.
We're going to give them that help. And you kind of mentioned that those mastery checks were like spelling tests.
Right.
So then why don't we send a spelling list home for them to practice?
Yeah, so it's not so much about memorizing the same 20 words once a week, or every week it's
20 new words. It's more that they know the skill. Like a Z is going to say Z. So, if we say zip, they know, hey, that Z sound, So it's not necessarily 20 words that they need to memorize. It's knowing the skills and the sounds that those letters represent.
Right. And just kind of like we talked about with some other things, how education has changed.
Sure.
It's gone so much away from that just memorizing.
Right.
And actually learning the skills and learning the abilities and strategies to attack words in this situation, learning those phonics skills to be able to apply those. And so, those spelling tests have kind of changed in a way. Yeah. And if a student can truly get a good or 100% on a mastery check, we know pretty successfully that, that student knows that skill. So, excellent. Sande Phonics happens during a time of the day we call WIN here at school. WIN stands for What I Need. Right. And really, truly, all of our students do need to learn and practice fluency. But what else happens during that WIN time?
So in that WIN, it's a 60-minute class period during WIN. And so we have typically 3 rotations of 20 minutes each. So they'll do a WIN lesson with the teacher, a phonics-based activity with a para in the room, and then usually an independent practice related to what they've just learned with those skills or sounds independently.
Yeah. So it's a lot of small group work.
Yes.
Yep. And that's something that we here at Sydney Public Schools have figured out, and just by checking research-based practices, small group instruction is very effective.
Sure.
And so we typically try to, in WIN group, keep those small groups and kind of rotate it around. I think it helps a lot with the students being able to kind of just get a little active, get a little moving around, and then really be focused in when they have to sit down and get into the phonics lesson or the independent practice or whatever that happens to be. So that's excellent. Thank you for sharing some information about Sande Phonics. We appreciate you jumping on board with us tonight. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ms. S. All right, very good. One more section down. We're just cooking right along here today. It looks like we're scheduling out pretty darn good. We have another giveaway to do here, and this one's going to be a little bit of a longer one. But first, let's find out who won the Upside Down Challenge. That would be Priscilla Zamudio Vera. That's Arabella and Silas. All right, you guys are going to be playing the Upside Down Challenge at home, it looks like, here pretty soon, having some fun with that. The answer to what GP stands for is gold pieces. So it's like currency, I guess. So bonus for the next one's the CP stands for, anybody in here in the studio? CP, what do you think? Nope, no guesses?
Chrome.
No, copper pieces. How about, I don't know what the other one is, SP. Silver, there we go, yeah. How about P and another P?
Paper.
Platinum, that's the most, platinum, yep, there we go. So once we kind of figured out one, you can get the others. Very good help out there. Alrighty, next game. This one's going to be a fun game. Oh my goodness, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to change our background, so I'm going to do that right now. I'm a big disc golfer, so we're going to put the disc golf background going up right now. There it is. So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to have to go. This is going to be kind of a little bit longer game, but we've been setting for a while. We've been setting, and just as students, we set for too long, we get complacent. It's time to get up and get moving a little bit. So what we're going to do, let me shoot this up here on the screen for you. There we go. You're going to go to this website. It's called blookit.com/play. Blookit.com/play. You do not need a username for this. You don't need to sign up. You don't need to log in. You don't need any of that stuff. This is a completely, you can just log in, and then what you're going to do when you go to this blookit.com/play, you're going to click on join. Okay, join game, I think is what it says. It works on a phone, works on a computer, works on about anything. Here's the kicker though, 60 players is our limit. So the first 60 that jump in are going to be jumping in and playing with us. So blookit.com/play, okay? And when you click on join game, it's going to ask you for a code. That's this big old giant number right there. That's the code that you're going to be typing in there, okay? So go to blookit.com/play, put in that join code for us. We'll be able to see players popping up here shortly once people join in. And you're going to be playing a nice little fun. This is a great fun family kind of a quiz game here on cartoon characters. So everybody can help out with this one. So jump on in, blookit.com/play. And I'm going to wait just a second here because, of course, with our live stuff, we have a little bit of a lag. And so by the time you actually see this stuff, so it's going to be kind of a blank for a little while. So now is when I kind of just do some nice little song and dance stuff, and I talk a little bit longer about some things. We have our sponsor break that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. Can you what now?
Game's not working.
Game is not working. That's not good. Let me refresh. Let me refresh. It might have just been setting for so long. Give me 1 second. Hey, we can't have a game and just have everything work correctly, can we? Of course not. Now you're going to see the old backside of all this good stuff here. We're going to do gold. All right, I'm going to walk around. Give me a second. All right, our first little technical hiccup. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. Oops, went off again. Okay, there we go. Why does it do that? Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. That's why, Mr. Meyer, you should hit the right button. Okay. Okay, same thing again, and this is a different join code. Let's see if this one works. This one's 224554. Mrs. Lee's going to put that in the chat right away so we can get hopefully caught up to the old live stream here. 224554, and let's see if this one hopefully works for you. So it's that same thing, blookit.com/play, 224554. There we go. Now we have some people in here. Yeah, I think I had it just setting for probably too long, and it kind of probably timed out. So I had it all set up, ready to roll. And then, of course, you know, as we get into here about an hour into it or so, then it starts to kind of fall down here. So we're at 6 players in so far. Join in there. As soon as we get kind of a good amount here, we will get our game started. We're going to be playing a game called Gold Quest. So Gold Quest is the name of the game. It's kind of a fun one. It's just to guess the cartoon character. And kind of fun. So if you get correct answers, you get to open up chests. It gets pretty frantic and crazy at there towards the end because you can steal some gold from other people. You can run some little power-ups. So good stuff. Now we're getting them in there. Very good. We're up to 35 players, which is great. Catching on up here. So we'll just give it a few more minutes to let everybody kind of join in. Kind of jump in. Up to 40 now. All right. And now this is a game that you can just kind of use whatever name you want to. So it looks like most everybody's using their kid's name, which is really cool. But if we find out our winner, we'll just make sure we put that person in the chat. So very good. All right, we're getting up to 44 players. 44 players. All right. We'll give it a few more seconds, then we'll get started here. Just a few. So this is a timed thing too. So you have the quicker you answer, the better off you are. And like I said, kind of fun stuff here. So we'll give it about 10 more seconds or so and kind of see where we're at. Maybe a little more. We're up to 45 players. And we keep kind of losing one, getting one back. All right. I think I'm going to cut us off. We're sitting at 45. That's a good, nice little round number here. So 45 players. Oh, we just lost one. We'll see if it comes back in here. I'll give them a second. All right, there we go. Oh, we lost it again. Kind of just bumping up and down. Okay, here we go. Going to start. Here's the instructions. You're going to answer questions. You're going to select chests. You're going to collect gold. You're going to take gold from others. First player to have 200,000 gold wins. Here we go. Good luck. And there we are. It's live. It's going. You'll get to kind of see the leaderboard up here. It's going to be a little delayed, though, because our live stream is a little delayed. But here we are getting started. All right, we got some gold up already. So I could do play-by-play, but it's going to totally not sync with what we have here. So we'll just kind of watch it and see how it goes. You can use some power-ups. All right, keep it up. It's going good. Testing your cartoon knowledge, your cartoon character knowledge. Let's see how many of you can get some of these. All right, keep it up. All righty, keep going, keep going. It starts to accelerate really, really quickly once we start getting a lot of gold going here, so. All right, keep moving, guessing those cartoons. Leaderboard changes a lot in this game. This is a pretty fun game. Some of our teachers can use this as well in class. Kind of just a fun way to mix it up. Do some quiz stuff with. There we go. All right, keep it up, everybody. Keep it up. Keep answering questions. All right, hey, we're getting close now. Close. We're getting up into the high, almost 100,000. There we go. Somebody up to 100,000 already now. We're getting close. This will go pretty quick. Pretty quick here at the end. Final standings. Game is over. Our winner is Cademan. Cademan. That's a good one. That's a puzzler here. Cademan. Cademan, go ahead and put in the YouTube chat who was the winner. Didn't even tell you what you're playing for. You guys just played for free, I guess. Didn't even play for anything. Kidding. I'll show you the game here in just a second. So Cademan is our winner. Emmerich getting in third place. Peanut for second place. I told you it goes very quick at the end there. Stealing some gold. Guessing those cartoon characters. Hopefully, parents, you had help with a few of those older ones, right? Yeah, hopefully. We kind of joked. We did this kind of same activity as a staff, and I said some of you have grandkids that watch these, some of you have kids that watch these, and some of our young teachers are probably watching them still. So that was kind of what it is. Alrighty, I'm going to pull down our final standings here. I'm going to put myself back up on and tell you what you were playing for. I didn't even do a very good intro to this. This is kind of a fun game. So Cademan has won a game called Beat That. Okay, it's Beat That. The Bonkers Battle of Wacky Challenges. Went very well with our Blook-It, I think. So Cademan, your family is winning Beat That. And not only do you get that, but you have the Household Objects Expansion Pack. So the expansion pack, that's pretty cool. Very good. That's our third prize winner, which is, Caden Bucksbaum. Very good. Caden Bucksbaum is our winner on that. That's awesome. Amazing. Very, very good stuff. Okay, I'm going to put this right over here on the side. Awesome stuff. There we go. And we are getting ready to move on to our next segment. And you know what we're going to have to do? We're going to audible a little bit here, because our little sponsor is not here quite yet. So what we're going to do is I'm going to remember to change my background to that one. There we go. And I'm going to have, in just a second, one of my teachers come up here and join us. And so, alrighty, hey, we're getting close to the end here, guys. You guys are doing a great job. We got about a half hour left. I have one real quick. We're going to talk to a couple of our first grade teachers, and then we're going to go into kind of what happens in the classroom, kind of talking a little bit about that. I have a couple of prizes yet to give away, which is going to be great. And so we'll have, joining us right now will be Mrs. Nicole Guth and Miss Gina Carlson. So come on in. join us in the Simpsons background here. Awesome. We're going to join in the Simpsons library. They don't have a library. It's a living room. It's getting to the end of the night.
The famous couch.
It's getting to the end of the night. I tell you what, ladies. Okay, very good. So here we go. We're going to talk a little bit about what happens in the classroom. So in the classroom, lots of stuff happening, right? We've talked about all of our assessment that we do. We've talked about all of our testing, kind of our interventions, those sorts of things. So let's talk about some focuses in the classroom. And let's start with math. So our math program that we use this year is called Zern Math. And so can you kind of tell me a little bit, what's the big focus for Zern Math?
So Zern Math has 4 big focuses: algebra, data, number sense, and geometry. And within those big focuses, we really look at standards. So things like adding, subtracting, making a 10, two-dimensional shapes, measuring, and all of those things come under those big bubbles.
Excellent. And so with Zern Math especially, there is kind of these, it seems like extra steps to solve problems. It's kind of this, what's been labeled as this new math. It's not kind of the math that we've been taught when we were kids. And so can you kind of explain to me, why do we have to do all those extra steps?
So we have a lot of those extra steps because we really want to give students strategies and tools to solve problems in more than one way. Because a lot of times in math, there's more than one way to do a problem and come up with the answer. Also because sometimes we aren't aware of what our brain is doing when we're doing math, and so it's breaking down those steps so students are more aware of how their brain is processing all of those math problems.
Excellent. And so you hear things like something like make a 10, for instance. And so kind of what's the focus behind making a 10? Like, why would you want to make a 10?
Well, because when you make a 10, so say you have a problem like 8 plus 6, for example. If you make a 10, it's something our brain does automatically for us, is we take apart that 6 to make that 8 a 10. 8 plus 2 is 10. I have 4 extras, so 10 plus 4 is 14. It's that step our brain does, but most of us are not aware our brain is making that 10 to solve that problem just a little bit faster.
Yeah, so it's making that math a little bit easier. And so kind of when we talked about the Sande Phonics, we talked about how memorization is kind of no longer the norm for us. Mm-hmm. It's the same way with math. Instead of memorizing math facts, we learn strategies to attack those math problems. And so while it does seem kind of strange that they have to do such extra steps in this simpler math, it does help them so much when they get up in the older grades and they get into that complicated math. And so that mental part has to be strong. And that's kind of what we're teaching them, kind of giving that base. So that's excellent. So let's talk about and how in conjunction of how we use ScoopPad, or what's now called Mosaic, because that company was bought out by ACT, is now Mosaic is what we'll say now. How do we use Mosaic kind of in conjunction with math?
So we use Mosaic, just like Mrs. Ayler was talking about with their map testing. We individualize Mosaic for each student by creating a Mosaic path for each student based off of their scores and their data and the information each teacher gets for each student. That means some students are working where they need to be working. Well, all students are working where they need to be working. But sometimes that means students are working on skills that they struggle with a little bit more than other students are. Sometimes that means students who are ready for a challenge and a little bit extra are given that opportunity to be challenged and work on maybe something that's at a higher grade level than what they're currently in, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially now that Mosaic is in with the ACT brand, I mean, that's kind of a huge name in education, because the ACTs are kind of a lot of what colleges will go off of. And so that whole library and that whole team that they have, library of questions, and that team of people they have working for them has really made that program very, very robust. And so one of the great successes we had last year was some of our students really kind of attacking those higher standards, because in MAPS they were identified to get into those higher standards, and they kind of could practice and kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And it's not just a quiz and answer, is it? What else kind of goes in with ScoopPad or Mosaic?
So a lot of things that also go in there, there's things like videos that students can watch. Teachers can assign videos that help explain a concept to either reteach a student, or if a student is ready for a higher concept, teachers can actually assign those videos as well so that they're learning it and it's being explained to them just in a different way.
Mm-hmm. And it's so important nowadays that kids get to interact with that digital media, because it's just not going away. And so the more that we can get them used to listening and pulling information off instead of just kind of passively watching, the better off we are, for sure. And this
Correct.
is something that helps us tremendously. So let's kind of switch gears. Now, Mosaic does have a part in reading, but we use it mostly with math. We do use it in reading as well, too. But the reading program that we use is called Wonders Reading. So, Gina, Miss Carlson, can you tell us about Wonders Reading?
So Wonders Reading we use for all 5 days of the week. We do Wonders Reading, and it consists of comprehension, vocabulary, and phonics. We go through our critical content slides. So we go through our slides, which have the sound for the week. It has the structural analysis. It's got the vocabulary, the stories, and then the kids get to work together in partners and read the stories, as well as answer comprehension questions about like setting and characters and things like that.
Yeah, so when we talked about Sande Phonics, was really teaching us kids how to read. Wonders is more of that comprehension stuff, the building the vocabulary, attacking stories, finding out how to pull that information from those stories. And so, yeah, using that every single day of the week is kind of a different than Sande Phonics. Though they use their
Yes.
Sande Phonics skills when reading some of those stories, for sure. Yeah. So let's talk about how writing and grammar kind of tie into our reading program.
So writing and grammar kind of tie into Wonders Reading because it gives the students a chance to experience the how sentences are built and look for text evidence and stories, as well as understanding how if they're able to write a sentence, then they're able to also read sentences better because they know like to pause at a comma or capital letters at the beginning of a sentence and punctuation at the end and things like that.
Yeah, kind of making that student that just very
Yeah.
well-rounded reader and learner for sure. Absolutely. So let's switch gears again, kind of talking about our science curriculum. We have kind of a newer science curriculum. We have kind of fully put it in place a year or two ago, but can you tell us a little bit about what it is and what we do?
Sure. Our science curriculum is amazing, first of all. If you ask any first grade teacher, I know we all love it. Our science curriculum, after we talk about math and reading and so much direct instruction, our science curriculum is extremely hands-on. I know lots of our teachers put pictures on Dojo of kiddos working on things. Science curriculum is a lot of small group projects. It's a lot of partner projects. And we learn a lot about the engineering process and the design process of what it really takes to be a scientist or an engineer, and going through the process of, I have this problem that I've identified, and now I need to create something to solve this problem. And a lot of times kids are looking for a solution right away. And the great part about our science curriculum is it teaches children that it's okay to make mistakes, and we talk about what a redesign looks like and going back and trying something different that maybe they didn't think about the first time to get to a solution. So extremely hands-on, a lot of group work and collaborating with each other to think of like the best solution.
Yeah. And it's kind of been a shift, especially in Nebraska with the new standards. They've kind of gone away from that subject-specific standard and have kind of gotten more into that scientific process and that exploration and kind of getting into the experimentation with things. And so the kids can really try to do something and then problem solve if it doesn't work quite right, or if they need to do something different with it, which is kind of fun. And so
Definitely.
it's a great contrast and a great balance to kind of what our reading and our math programs do, because they are so much more direct instruction and kind of being more explicit with that, and they can kind of back off and have some fun and build boats, and they can build houses, and they can have some fun with that and problem solve and do a lot of group work, which is fun. So talking about social studies, because we also teach social studies, tell us about the big focus with our social studies.
So our new social studies curriculum, which also goes with some of the new social studies standards that we have, it has a very strong digital component where it has videos of kids that are their same age talking about the different concepts that they're learning about, and kind of gives them an idea of what they're learning in terminology that they understand. They are also able to access that component on Clever. I know second grade uses that. And there's readers that are online for the students with those concepts. And then they have an interactive workbook that they go through each day as well.
Yeah, and the big focus is just what a person is, like
Yes.
just a citizen and
Yes.
communities, and that part that they have with that, which is awesome. And then also kind of like I said, we try to create as well-rounded students as we can here at Sydney Public Schools, and so incorporating art into the elementary classroom is important as well. So what are ways that we put art into our classrooms?
Oh, so we use art a lot with our writers workshop, but we also have a program called Art in Action where students will study an artist and then what type of medium that they are known for using. So for example, I know in first grade we studied Jackson Pollock, and it's just a short 1 hour lesson, and then students got to splatter paint. So they really get to focus on just using different types of mediums when they're learning about artists like paint and oil pastels and chalks and things like that.
Excellent. And it's always fun to walk down the halls and see all the kids' artwork out there. So when you come for conferences, it'll be a great time to kind of check out some of that art that happens in the hallway, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about home, reaching at home. So what kind of ways if you are a parent sitting at home, which you are, and you want to do some extra stuff or you want to help out with your student, what are some ways that you can do that without just getting a bunch of worksheets or, those sorts of things? What are ways that the parents can help out at home?
So one big thing that we always like to push is just reading with your kid at home. Like maybe you read a page, then they read a page, point to a word and say, what does that word mean? Building vocabulary. But then there's also, if a device is available, we have, if you download the Clever app, the students have QR codes that they can bring home from school and scan with the device, that QR code, and then I very much recommend talking to your student's teacher because there's different apps that they have put on there for Clever that your kid can work on, like Mosaic or Zern, or some teachers have Wonders Reading on there. So just communicate with your child's teacher and figure out what on Clever that you can do at home.
Yeah. Yeah, so all those things are kind of tied in. It makes it easy for the students to log in. So we don't have to worry about passwords. We don't have to worry about usernames. We just literally have a QR code that can be scanned, and boom, I'm logged in and I'm ready to go with anything. So whether that be Zern, Mosaic, your social studies, your Wonders Reading, any of those programs that we have digital components for, which nowadays is every single curriculum. It just has that digital piece to it. And so if there's ways that you want to kind of extend that at home, that's a perfect way of doing that. Not only does that kind of model correct and appropriate technology use, but it's kind of getting those kids used to using that medium, which is, like I said, so important for our kids because it's just not going away.
Absolutely.
Every single, profession that's out there nowadays is using technology in some way, shape, or form. And so kind of preparing them for that is super, super important. So that's excellent. So those are definitely some ways that can kind of mix up at home if you want and kind of add some extra supports if you want to as well. So ladies, thank you so much for joining us tonight, talking about some of our first grade and even our second grade, because we do the same programs. Just kind of talking about what happens in the classroom. So thank you.
Well, thanks for having us.
All righty, very good. Excellent. All right, so we're about ready to wrap things up here. We're going to see really quickly here if our sponsor is here, if he's able to get away from the store, and if he's not, I'll just do my best to wing it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll give away our last little prize in just a second. So actually, we have 2 more prizes to give away, so we'll do those here very quickly here. So the very first prize we're going to give away is going to be actually using your Play at Home guide. So you're going to be using the nice little Play at Home guide here to figure some stuff out, okay? So here we go. You are going to look through this Play at Home guide, and there are 2 people at South Elementary that did not fill out their Google form. They didn't fill it out, and so Mr. Meyer got to put in some stuff for them. If you can identify 1, so don't pick 2. Don't pick 2 of them. You got to pick 1 at a time. So put in the name of 1 of our staff members that did not fill out that Google form, and it's pretty obvious if you read through there. You can win one of our prizes, and so I'll tell you what that prize is here in just a second, just in case our sponsor does show up. If not, I'll just tell you what it is. So you're only saying one name, that's it, to let somebody else win another one, because I have 2 prizes to give away. So looking through, see what you can come up with. I have 2 names here. All right. Okay, we're looking through, finding the 2 names of our staff members that decided that Mr. Meyer's going to come up with stuff for them there. We'll see if you can come up with those answers. I'm seeing some answers incoming in. Looks like we're getting it quite right here. That's pretty good. Yeah. Very good. So, we're going to have a couple winners. Looks like we're getting them written down right now. You are winners of a certificate to... Hang on. The Smash Dungeon at Daisies and Dragons. Let me get my chair out of the way so you can kind of see their little background there. The Smash Dungeon at Daisies and Dragons. We had 2 winners. Monica Schmitz is our first winner. That'd be Leah. All right, going to the Smash Dungeon. And then also Braishla Rusk winning as well. That's awesome. Good job for our 2 winners. You're going to be getting some certificates to the Smash Dungeon at Daisies and Dragons. Eric Bertrand was invited up here. I'm sure he probably couldn't get away from the store. Was hoping that he could come in here. Lots of great stuff at the Smash Dungeon. Not only do they have the Smash Dungeon, they've just implemented a Nerf dart war place, which is kind of cool. Lots of board games to play. Just some great fun stuff. So come check them out. See what you can come up with and have some fun. Have some good family fun at the Smash Dungeon. So we do appreciate them donating a couple of prizes, kind of sponsoring our night for us. So that's awesome. It's too bad he couldn't be on here to jump in and kind of talk some more, but that is okay. Things happen, right? All right. So with that, we're about ready to wrap this thing up. We've talked about a lot of stuff, guys. A whole bunch of stuff. We've talked about testing that we do here at South. We've talked about our incentive program, our Raider badges. We've talked about all of our curriculum, Sande Phonics, Wonders Reading, Zern Math, our social studies, our science programs, all of these different, Mosaic, how you can connect at home. Lots and lots of information. I really appreciate you guys taking your time to join us tonight, to kind of jump on our stream, have some fun with us. Great things with everybody here. I really do appreciate you guys spending that time and doing this. So I'm going to give away one final prize, and I'm also going to show you how you can get your kids to win that Raider badge. So one more time, let's take a look at what that Raider badge looks like. Curriculum Night Raider badge looks just like that. Okay, so to earn the Curriculum Night Raider badge, okay, the one thing we kind of didn't talk about much was our communication tool that we use at South, which is called Class Dojo. Almost everybody's on that, which is awesome. One of the things that we don't use Class Dojo enough for is kind of that fun communication stuff. And so I put a post today, a post reminding you about Curriculum Night. Okay, you can, as parents, reply on those posts. And this is what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you reply on that post. And what I want to know is your most favorite or best dad joke. I'm a dad. I love dad jokes. Your best favorite dad joke. And I want you to put it in the comments under my post that I did this afternoon. Make sure it's this afternoon, not the event, but the post that I did separate of that one. Click comment. And I want you to comment your favorite dad joke, okay? Once you have your favorite dad joke on there, your kid's going to win. Or win. They're not going to win. They're going to earn their Curriculum Night badge. So that's pretty cool stuff. And then that also will enter you in for a drawing for, you get it, Amazon Echo 4th generation, right? You can barely see it. It's almost chroma keyed out. It's like it's translucent. It's like a hologram. It's a hologram of it. The real thing will be here. Oh, chroma key, love it. Okay, so anyway, so the Amazon Echo 4th generation will be given out to somebody who gives me their best dad joke on Class Dojo. That's what we want to see. So I've got a fun idea for some dad jokes, and I'd love to get some ideas and to get some good ones from you guys. So before I kick it off completely, because we're just about ready to wrap this thing up, I want to say thank you one more time for spending the time this evening. It's been a long hour and a half for me here. This evening, joining in with us, learning about all the stuff that happens at South Elementary. Listen to all of our guests, all of the teachers that couldn't be here, all the effort that they put in. I appreciate all of it. So before I completely let you go, I'm going to show you a little behind the scenes here, So I'm going to click off my backgrounds. Okay. I'm going to also, let's see here. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can't remove my filters here. So there we go. Yep, we're going to get rid of it. Alrighty, so what we're going to show you is the kind of the behind the scenes stuff. So you're going to check out our studio here. We have our nice green screen that's been up here, just like that. We've got, yeah, there's our table all set up here. I'm going to flip this thing around. We have all of our stuff here, our chairs and tables. There's Mrs. Lee doing that. We have a couple of our speakers back here. We've got some nice little lights that were set up so we can see all nice and neat, all that kind of cool stuff. So we've kind of transformed our library into this kind of fun little studio for it tonight. So I kind of thought you as kids might want to see some of that kind of fun stuff. So we're all finished, all done. I appreciate you all for coming in. Thank you very, very much. We're probably going to shut the camera off and cut the mic here too. If anybody needs to say anything else on the chat, I'll leave that up for just a few minutes. But with that, we are finished. You can enjoy the rest of your night doing whatever you want. Hopefully you had a good dinner. I'm about ready to go get one myself. So thank you guys so much for coming tonight and watching. We'll see you all tomorrow.